It's the Stack Attack Fantasy Podcast, your one-stop shop to dominate fantasy baseball and football. Come get some.
Yo, baby, yo, here we go. It's time to start the show. It's the Stack Attack Fantasy Podcast, DFS Playbook Edition. My dude, Trader Andy, is to my right. Nice and easy when there's only two of us here. I still pointed in the wrong direction, though. It is what it is.
What's going on?
It's all good, man. I'm so excited for tonight. This is what it's all about. I mean, when we started doing this little project almost 2 years ago, the whole point was DFS. It was DFS. That was what we were going to do. That's why we're called Stack Attack, my dudes. That's what it's all about. And now we're here. It's nice that me and you get to put the entire world, or however many of them want to listen, into the conversation that we've had every single football season for the last handful of years right about now. We're a little bit late, one day late because of me. I'm sorry about that. This will be out every Friday at 9 p.m. instead of Saturday. You DFS players need that time. If DFS players need anything, it's time, because lineup building takes time. So no soft openings or any crap like that. Let's get right into it, man. You good? You ready to roll?
Absolutely, bro. I'm fired up. I've been waiting for this for a long time. So let's start making some people money.
Right. All right. So first, but before we start, I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna live up to my promise, and I'm gonna throw my man down there, and we're gonna talk about Reed for 10 seconds. Remember, guys. Rally for Reed is October 2nd. We talked about this guy in our last podcast. This young man, this little kid needs your help. He's living with Mercoy, and the Venmo account to help him out is on the bottom, and it's going to stay there the whole show. So that's what that's all about. We'll talk about that later on. But Andy, let's get into the DFS aspect of it. So I know all about it, but let's tell the listeners, the viewers, what it's all about. You're a cash game player. I'm a GPP player more than anything, right?
Yeah, so it basically means that I'm trying to build my bankroll a little bit every week and try to win probably 3 out of 4 weeks every time. Jeff's looking for that big GPP win that, he has to split with his wife and with me. And, so I try to, the cash game, you could hide it from the wife and not show as much winnings. The big one, you're in trouble. So, there's different aspects to it. Certain players might be good for season long. They might be good for GPP. And they might be horrible for cash. It all depends. And we're going to break that down for you.
Awesome. So, I'm much more. I do play cash. Let's not get crazy here. I play cash on FanDuel for the most part.
You have no choice this week.
Yeah, let's not talk about that. So FanDuel, my brain automatically goes to DraftKings. It doesn't work with half PPR, and the 3-point bonus on DraftKings is huge in my brain. So. Yeah, I automatically think DraftKings first, but we're definitely going to provide FanDuel and any of our listeners, watchers, anything like that. If you have a preference for what you want us to focus on more, we'll definitely talk about what you guys want more between the sites. But I like to play in the I generally play the 20 entry max slates on DraftKings, and I play cash games on FanDuel. That's kind of my way of doing things. And I've never gotten the big 5-figure hit, but I've been pretty damn close a couple of times with some second place, third places that I just missed those.
No.
So, let's get into it. So let's talk 2 minutes of strategy before we get into the slate. Andy, ownership percentage in cash. Do you care or you don't care?
Don't really care. Everyone's, sometimes the chalk is good, and sometimes you have to eat it. Sometimes you can fade it, but that's more of a GPP thing. So
right, absolutely, absolutely. You don't want to miss out. And there's one big cash play this week that we'll talk about. That's massive chalk. week one is always like this. They screw up the pricing because they put it out a month in advance to drive up the amount of entries into a contest. And we got one play. It's Marcus Callaway this week. It always happens. So the one thing that I don't care about ownership as much in GPP as most people should, but I like to use leverage points often. So, for instance, we just mentioned Callaway is the big chalk this week. The way to leverage off that is by taking Alvin Kamara, because nobody's going to put a running back and a wide receiver from the same team unless they're doing a full game stack. So Kamara is going to be very big in my playbook this week to leverage off of Callaway. I'll have some Callaway in my GPPs. He'll be almost 100% owned in cash for me as well. But that's kind of how I look at it and everything. I'm not a big ownership percentage person. I'm pretty good at predicting it, but it doesn't really matter to me all that much. My goal is to get the most points more than anything. Andy, what are your thoughts on correlation plays? Like, do you like to put a running back with the defense on the same team at the same time? With the mentality that if the running back has a big game, that means the team's in front, that they probably held the opponent to a low score. So they're probably, the defense is having a good game as well. Is that something that you really look at much or not so much?
Not really. I mean, that is a good point, but I really don't like to waste money on defenses. So I try to find a low pick that's going to fit into the players I want. I'll make sure I get the right receivers and running backs in there, and then worry about the defense, which I have a nice pick for this week. So we'll get into that later.
Okay. Awesome. Dude, I think that this week, because of the mispricing on some of the wide receivers, you got obviously we said Callaway, Waddle comes into play. There's so many of it that the high expensive running backs, especially McCaffrey, are going to be pretty highly owned this week, because you could save so much money on the wide receivers this week. Do you agree?
Well, this DFS week is just like the way we've been drafting the whole season. All right, we're fading the wide receivers. We're trying to get the big end quarterbacks and the running backs, and then we're fitting in these great values later in the day. So that's exactly what we've been doing.
Right. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, we really, this is our first show on our own channel. We really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button and that like button. If you're watching through my Twitter feed, if you're one of the 2,000 out there that want to listen to me for whatever reason, please smash that retweet and that like button. And if you're on Facebook, man, like, please hook us up, man. Let's get this moving. All right. Let's start talking some stacks. Andy, do you have a favorite stack for this week?
The one team I'm in love with this week is the Packers. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out. He's going to start throwing the ball deep. I think they're going to shoot it out, and I think it's going to be a nice little pairing with, I think Rodgers is the quarterback I'm going to be paying for this week, and I think that putting in Devontae Adams and Robert Tonyan is the way to go.
Oh, so you're looking at Tonyan, but if in a GPP, you're going to full stack and put Adams in there as well, and you could even probably fit Aaron Jones as well.
Well, what I did is I did I think it's going to be a high scoring game. So obviously in the GPP, I faded Callaway, and what I did was I put Rodgers, Adams, Tonyan, and I put in Kamara, and it just worked out beautiful. It's very nice.
Right. Or I mean, if you wanted to run it back also, obviously there's Callaway on the other side of the ball.
Yeah.
There. And when I say run it back, basically it's a game theory piece that if your quarterback is going to go off and the team's going to score 30 points, 35 points, something like that, chances are, if it's the quarterback doing it, that the other team is putting numbers up as well. So the opposing team wide receiver is probably going to be having a good game as well. So if you're going to play Adams with Rodgers or Tonyan with Rodgers, the chances of Callaway and Kamara also having a good game are pretty good, right?
Well, the one thing that you were hyping up this week with the owner's box is the super flex. And
Yeah.
I feel that based on what you just said, adding in Jameson Winston, who is really cheap and a value, he's going to be airing it out. I think that could be a route to go as well.
Well said. Guys, if you're listening, if you don't know about Owner's Box, you should check it out. They actually have a tournament this week that's only like 30% full. That it's a $10 buy-in, but you could get in for free if you use the promo code Drew9 and jump right in there for free. You don't even have to make a deposit in order to do that. So that's some free money out there. I don't want you to do it because I want to win more, but yeah, that's what it is. All right, let's talk some other stacks. The Packers have an implied total of 26 points. I also see the Seahawks with 26 points. You like stacking Russ Wilson with Metcalf or Lockett?
Yeah, that's one of the higher games. Whenever I start doing any of my research, I go right to the Vegas lines. And I look at see where everyone's betting, where the over and unders are, and try to base my part of my research on that. So the Colts and the Seahawks game is going to be really high scoring. Another game I think is going to be a shootout is Atlanta and Philadelphia. I think that's going to be really high scoring. A lot of ownership there. I think Jalen Hurts could be a winner this week. So.
Right. Oh, I'm actually on the other side of the ball. I mean, I'll definitely use some Hurts even in cash, just because there's such a good floor with him with the rushing floor. So, but I mean, the Falcons also have an implied total of 26. You got Matt Ryan. You could use Davis as well because he catches passes. There's going to be a lot of ownership on Pitts. I'm not really loving Pitts this week, even at 4,400 on DraftKings. But my guy this week is Ridley. Ridley. I am so in on Ridley this week. He might be my number one play. And I think that there's a way he's a leverage against the field because everybody's going to be using a lot of expensive running backs and a lot of cheap wide receivers. So if you're using Ridley, I think he's over 8,000 on DraftKings, right? Right. Darius Slay, mediocre cornerback. Philly was a sieve to wide receivers last week. Ridley has never missed value on DraftKings when he has 8 targets or more in a week. And with Julio Jones out of there, that's kind of a given, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And Ridley's at 7,900.
79, yeah, 8,000, right?
Yeah,
Perfect. That's even better. All right. Any other stacks that are jumping out to you?
I like the Cardinal game, the Arizona game. I think that's going to be pretty much a shootout there. And I like stacking the Bills too. I think the Bills are going to put up some points. Right.
Well, let's talk about the Cardinals Titans game. Do you like both sides of the ball or just one?
I always try to get both sides on, even if it's just one person on the other side. Obviously, if it was that side, then you'd probably have to shoot for one of the wide receivers in Tennessee. You don't want to take Henry if you think that it's going to be a shootout because it's going to be a lot of high-scoring games and throwing down the field. So,
but let's look at this though. What's to say that Tennessee doesn't get out to a big lead? Let's say we have one of these games where Henry goes for 100 yards and 2 tutties in the first half, and then that forces Kyler Murray to throw with reckless abandon for the second half, and that's when your guy AJ Green, D Hop, and everybody's darling cheap guy Rondell Moore come into play.
Yeah, that could work too. That'd be a good game script.
I think that could happen. Once we get out of the stacks, we're going to talk cash game theory a little bit. I think Ryan Tannehill might be my cash game quarterback this week, just because he was one of the best in the NFL against cover 1 last year, and that's primarily what the Cardinals play. And the Cardinals defense kind of sucks. So I think Tannehill is definitely in play this week.
It's going to be definitely low ownership. So.
Right. I agree. You mentioned the Bills. That's pretty straightforward. Is there anybody other than Allen and Diggs that you would include in the stack?
Yeah, of course. You're probably looking for if it's a GPP, you go for maybe Gabriel Davis.
Oh, yeah.
They're also saying, I heard something about Cole Beasley. I don't like him, but I heard that the slot corner is not going to be able to handle him. So,
all right, cool. If you're taking a Bill stack and you want to run it back with somebody, you definitely use one of the wide receivers. You're going to fade Najee Harris, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's too many running backs right near Najee, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. There's really no reason to play him whatsoever, right?
You take the cheapest wide receiver, which is Chase Claypool. Boom.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yep.
I think that there's a way to get sneaky if you want to stack with the 49ers. They also have a 26 point implied total. I don't know if the right way to do it is to go Jimmy G and a wide receiver. I mean, Ayuk has a good matchup this week, and I'm going to be in on him in a couple of lineups. But I think that it kind of works if you do a Jimmy G with Raheem Mostert stack.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah, I think it kind of works. Just with the defense that they're going up against, the Lions. I mean, their defense is improved, but they're not going to be very good this year. And I think the run back on that would be Hawkinson, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like anybody really on Detroit, but that's the only guy.
Right. All right. So let's transition into some cash game talk. And that's your forte. I think Mostert might be one of my favorite plays for cash, especially on FanDuel, where you're not worried about the full PPR or the bonuses. Where you want to start? Let's talk about your playbook. All right. Let's talk about the Macho Quattro.
You said it right. Very good.
Right.
Right,
so what the Macho Quattro is, Andy always builds with a core four, but there's a quite famous radio host that uses the term core four. So, and Andy's big on hitting the gym and doing it. So we're going with the Macho Quattro. So who you got in your playbook this week that you're building your lineups around, Mr. Andy?
Obviously, basically, I've already spoke about, but Aaron Rodgers is probably going to be the quarterback I built my lineup with. I think I'm going to start with him. I think they're going to shoot it out. I think he's going to be pissed off. I think he's going to, he got 4 or 5 touchdowns tomorrow. So I think that's the guy I'm going to go with. Obviously, it's not part of my core, but Tunyon, very, very cheap on all the sites. I think just adding him in there, and he had a good connection last year. The other way I'm going to go is some cheap wide receivers. Obviously, Marquez Callaway is going to be a free square. Everyone's going to be using him. He'll be huge owned, but you have to just pay up for the chalk and just use him. All right, and then
your running back
for years, not years, for months I've been talking about him. James Robinson. I was getting him in the 9th and 10th round before all the news broke, and he's still cheap on the sites, and he's the guy. He's going to get lots of touches. They're going to run the offense through him, especially with the quarterback having some issues with protection and everything. I think they're going to use him. They're going to drop down to him as well. I think he's going to be highly owned, but that's the guy to go with.
All right.
Well,
you just said 2 things I want to point out.
Mm-hmm.
So you said, number one, that he's going to be highly owned, and I agree with that 100%. It's the other thing is protection, and Carlos Hyde is such a good pass protector, and he's so good on third down that he's going to be on the field to protect this rookie quarterback, right? I think James Robinson is in a smash spot, but I don't think that the ceiling is good enough for a GPP, right?
Yeah.
I think that this is a cash game only play, because I don't think he's going to be involved in the passing game all that much. He's probably, I wouldn't doubt it if he scores 2 touchdowns. I agree with you on that. On that, like, he's going to have a game, but I think that there just might be a little bit of limit to it. The good thing about football is you know, in a GPP, the ownership kind of spreads out. He's projected to be at about 8% owned in GPP, but that'll probably be closer to 35% on cash games, right?
Mm-hmm. So
right.
Obviously with being safe and everything, you're looking for probably 3 times his salary, maybe 4 times his salary on the cash games, while you're looking for someone in GPP to have that 7 or 8 times. Taking that guy, for instance, like taking Tevin Coleman from the Jets, all right, who has a chance to just straight destroy people if he gets out in the open. All right, he is not a safe play, so you don't want to take him in the cash game, but you want to take him in the GPP where he could bring that huge value.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well said. Well said.
So, the last guy is my boy. He is the number 1 wide receiver for a team with a very high over/under, and he's getting in the salary range of like a 3rd or 4th wide receiver. No respect, Rodney Dangerfield. He's at like 4,100, I think, on DraftKings. Michael Pittman. All right, that's my guy. He's going to get down the field. He's taking over the leadership role. I think that's going to be a big play next tomorrow, and I think a lot of people are going to be on it.
All right, awesome. All right, so roll it back, and give us the Macho Quattro that you're building all of your cash games around. So, who are the 4 again?
So in all 4 of all my cash lineups, I'll have Aaron Rodgers, James Robinson, Marquez Callaway, and Michael Pittman Jr.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah.
I like it. Let's win some money.
Absolutely.
You feel good about those on both DraftKings and FanDuel across the board?
Yeah.
I agree with you 100%. All right, awesome, man. Let's roll through the rest of the slate. We've mentioned quite a few players so far that were on or off. Let's talk about some quarterbacks and see if there's anybody else. You know, on the high end, Justin Herbert, are you on him? Are you off of him? He's a little bit expensive. What is he? He's $6,700 on DraftKings. You in or you out?
I'll probably pass on him. I think that the Redskins defense is no joke. And even though Herbert's good, there's other options there that I prefer taking.
Okay, so tell me who your top guy is.
On the higher tier, obviously, I like Aaron Rodgers. I also like Matt Ryan, who's at 7,300 on I think FanDuel. The 7,300, and I think he's going to have low ownership, and he's going to have possibly some big numbers. He obviously killed me a couple times last year, but you know he's solid, and I feel comfortable taking him with a bad defense.
Okay, great. Where are you at with Jalen Hurts this week?
GPP. He's going to be a really nice GPP pick. His rushing ability and the over and under makes it very, very nice.
All right, cool. I got a pay down guy that you're probably like, this is total like, absolute like punctured lung bad.
Oh.
But I mean, how do you? The Jacksonville defense is just not good. It's not ready to play. Tyrod Taylor is at $5,300. I mean, you only need about 18 points to meet your cash game lineup. I don't think the upside's there. You're not getting 30 points out of this guy. He's not going 7-8x. But for cash games, if you pay down at quarterback for Tyrod Taylor, you're going to get 18 points, man. Come on. Sign off on it. Tell me it's okay. Tell me it's going to be okay.
It's risky, but it's okay for you. You're a risky cash game player as well. So
not going to work. All right. So you're probably not paying up for Mahomes at any point this week. It's a little painful at 8,100, right? Yeah.
Definitely.
All right. So let me ask you then. Let's do some new old faces, new places. What about Sam Darnold and Teddy Bridgewater? They're both real cheap at 5,000 and 4,800.
Yeah, I see a lot of people talking about Sam Darnold being a nice value. All right, if anyone got to watch 4 quarters of play every single year for the past couple of years, like we did in New Jersey and New York, you don't want anything to do with him. I don't want anything to do with that guy. He sees ghosts. He's going to be scared. I don't like it. I'd rather take freaking Zach Wilson.
Right. I think you already said the better pay down is probably, if you don't like my skank idea, Tyrod Taylor, it's probably Jameis Winston that you already mentioned,
Absolutely.
who's only $5,200, right?
Definitely.
All right. Let's move over to running back. We mentioned.
Yeah, we'll move
What's
over
up?
to running backs. We got a couple questions about running backs. That's perfect.
All right, cool. Let me check it out. What do we got? So McCaffrey, Kamara, a must play. Yeah, you know what?
Got to do at least one of them.
I don't know. I think we're going to talk about that a little bit right now. I think you should probably use one of them. Absolutely. There's also, the James Robinson play comes in there, but if you want to use Robinson as your RB2, yeah, I mean, I think I'm going to have CMC or Kamara in just about every lineup at this point, right?
At least one of them. I mean, I've been all over Kamara, and I really don't want to see McCaffrey have a good game tomorrow, being a Jet fan. But Kamara has been my guy since the beginning, and I think he's the game calls for him to have a big turnaround. So
right. Well, in my opinion, the way to leverage against Kamara and CMC usage is by taking Ridley and then probably Kelsey, right? If you spend your money there and then go Robinson and possibly maybe even Joe Mixon or lower tier, somebody like Antonio Gibson, who I really like this week a lot.
Definitely.
I think that's the way to get out of CMC or Kamara is go with the high-end wide receiver, take Kelsey, and then go value underneath Robinson as your number one running back, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the route you go because you love Kelsey. Now, obviously, I would want to put McCaffrey or Kamara in there with the low-end Tunyon type at tight end and then get the values at the wide receivers and then add those top running backs. I think, trying to add the one or two of the top five is the way to go.
I agree with you. That's probably especially for cash, the better play. I'm just trying to give my dude here a way to leverage off of CMC and Kamara. He asked if it's a must play. There's the way I would do it to get off of them. Okay. Any other running backs that you're up on this week, Andy?
I think Mixon I like. I love Gibson this week. His price is just too nice. My one fade, obviously. Who's my fade? Tell me who my fade is.
I don't know who your fade is.
Saquon Barkley. Come on.
Oh yeah, well he should be everybody's fade. You can't. I mean, there's GPP upside there. He's going to be on a pitch count. There's the chance that he breaks one off crazy and catches 6-7 balls and pops off for 25, 30 points. But I'm not doing that in cash. No way. I
also like Mike Davis.
Davis,
one of our favorites.
Definitely.
His price is just too nice. So
definitely. I think the smash spot guy here is Antonio Gibson at $5,900. The Chargers play mostly cover 3. That leaves the middle of the field kind of wide open, and nobody's ready for the expanded role that Antonio Gibson's taking right now, especially on third down. They got him much more involved in the passing game coming in this year. We talked about that in draft prep time all the time about how McKissick is going to lose half of his targets this year, and that's all going to Gibson, and it's going to be a smash spot. Absolutely.
Yep.
What do you think about Melvin Gordon this week?
I was a fan. I was taking him in the best balls and season long. I feel, I think he still has value and he's still, in good shape. I think it's a good play.
Yeah, and I just have a feeling that, and they're playing the Giants. I just have a gut feeling. That's all this is that Javonte Williams is going to get slow played a little bit, and that Melvin Gordon is going to have the opportunity to just absolutely smash in the beginning of the season at a really, really low price.
Definitely.
Right. Another guy that I know that you're a big fan of, and I don't know what it is. Like, I might actually bet on the Texans to win this week. I might actually take the Texans, but I'm in on Phillip Lindsay, man. I think he's going to have a big game. I think that early on, it's going to be him and Ingram, and it's just going to happen, and it's so cheap.
I just don't know how to. I love Lindsay, And I love AJ Green. Those were some of my guys. I just don't know if I can sign off on week one. I think there's just better options there now. And his role is really hit or miss. So obviously, taking him low price out on a GPP is fine. But, I just don't know what to expect actually week one, especially, if they get behind, he's one of the worst pass blocking backs out there. So he's automatically off the field in the third down.
Awesome. All right, let's slide over to the wide receivers, and this is where everybody's going to try to save their money. So let's start on the high end. Devontae Adams is always in play, matchup proof, right? 100% of the time. So is Hopkins. We already talked about how much we love Ridley this week. It's a great matchup. He's my number one wide receiver, bar none, 100% this week. Is there anybody else on the high end that you're really interested in?
Just the Adams one because with Rodgers and everything, obviously the Ridley maybe, but I prefer to pay down a little bit and pay up for the running backs.
Right. I'm going to be in on Terry McLaurin a little bit. He'll be in the playbook. Fitzpatrick has always supported a number one wide receiver. His number one wide receiver has always had 125 targets or more in every full season that he's ever played. So he's definitely in a smash spot at $6,400. I think that's a pretty safe 3X. You could do that in cash easily, right?
Yep.
What about, we mentioned the Seahawks as a possible sneaky stack. You in on Metcalf or Lockett? I know every week it's kind of hard to figure out which one's going to pop off. Are you on one of them this week or no?
Yeah, I like Lockett. I think he's a little cheaper, and I would rather take that value. And he had 100 receptions last year as well, so I think that he's definitely going to get fed no matter what.
Well, the big thing too is the Colts played the most snaps on defense in cover 2 last year, and Lockett had the second most yards in the NFL against that coverage. So that's your sneaky guy this week, man. Lockett is the play over Metcalf 100% for me. I'm going to use him in almost every GPP lineup I have. He'll be one of those perfect one-offs to slide in there. I love it 100%. Anybody else that you're on wide receiver wise? We mentioned Ayuk has a really good matchup, but he's got a little hamstring thing going on. I'm kind of scared about that. A little more GPP for me than cash. Well, on Ayuk or
he's solid, but I think I think Kittle might actually get more play than him this week, especially when there's 3 other wide receivers around that area that I like with obviously my boy Tyler Boyd.
Of course.
Laviska Shenault and Jerry Jeudy is pretty cheap as well, and I think he's going to be getting a lot of points in the PPR.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you could go T Higgins too at 4,700. He's pretty reasonably priced. And your guy AJ Green, man, $3,800.
Too cheap.
I mean, you're really looking for 12 PPR points, not even 11 PPR points to pay off your 3X for cash. I mean, come on, man.
And for those who have not tuned in earlier this year, AJ Green, this is going to be the first time ever in his career that he's going to be single coverage. With Hopkins on the other side, he's going to be getting not the best cornerback. He's going to be getting a second cornerback. And he's going to be the guy he's playing against this week. He's like 6 inches taller, 7 inches taller. So there's going to be a huge difference there, and I think he could, handle it.
Well, here's the thing with AJ Green too is that the world is sneaky on Rondale Moore. It's almost a foregone conclusion. Everybody is saying that there's going to be a 75-yard touchdown to Rondale Moore, right? So leverage against that and take AJ Green that absolutely nobody is going to be on at $3,800, and you only need 12 PPR points for him to pay that off. That's beautiful, man. I'm in on AJ Green, man. You sold me finally.
At least I sold somebody, right?
Anything else with wide receivers? I know a lot of people are on the Corey Davis bandwagon.
Yeah. I was going to talk about him. He's going to get fed. All right. He had a good connection with the rookie quarterback. They really don't have that good of a tight end, I think he's going to be the guy.
All right. I'm going to have a couple shares of Odell Beckham myself. It's going to be a high scoring game. There's people out there. Obviously the Browns got better when Beckham was out last year from a win-loss perspective. But if you really think that Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't make the Browns dynamic, like, come on, man. He's gonna eat. I'm in. Make it happen. What do you think about Julio Jones, man? Got to see it first.
Yeah,
I'm there too.
We'll see what happens.
Got to see it first. All right. Okay. Any other wide receivers you want to talk about, or we'll move on to tight ends?
Yeah, let's move over to tight ends.
All right, bring it. You always like the tight ends, I know. All right. So I don't care what the price is. I don't care what the matchup is, what the total of the game is. I will never tell you not to play Travis Kelce. If you could find a way to fit him in, do it. Even though he's $2,000 more than the next most expensive tight end, it always works. All right. Anybody else on the higher end that you like, Andy? I'm usually Kelce or punt.
I think for $2,000 less on DraftKings, I think Kittle's definitely viable. And then after that, just go down. I think I'm going to probably fade Pitts this week to see what he actually does. I like the Tunyon. And,
you can't play Pitts at 4,400 when Tunyon is 4,200, and he led the NFL in touchdowns at the position, tied with Kelce last year. You can't do that. New Orleans was terrible against the tight end in the second half last year. Sorry. I get mad at all these people on the Pitts bandwagon. I think he's going to be great long term, but come on.
Yeah.
Not today.
And then obviously, we like the Jonnu Smith over in New England. He has the chance to do something. He's cheap, and Jared Cook, he's probably gonna get some play too as well.
Right. Well, the thing about Jonnu is you can't throw on the outside against Miami at all. Like it's just shut down city with X-Man out there. So everybody's favorite wide receiver other than Callaway coming in, Jacoby Myers, he's going to get shadowed and shut down. So it's going to be the Jonnu and Hunter Henry show in the middle of the field. I agree with that 100%. What about your guy? I know you like him. I think he's in a sneaky spot at 4K. Austin Hooper against the Chiefs.
I don't know. I don't trust Baker Mayfield really. He's a game. He handles the game. He doesn't try to air it out usually. So I don't think, especially with Odell coming back and healthy, I think he should get some more target share as well. So, I'll take it or leave it. Not a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. I got a couple of cheap bottom of the barrel ones that I could give you if you'd like.
Who you got?
Jawan Johnson. If Troutman is out, I think he might have a chance to smash. And Pharaoh Brown. I really just said that for the Houston Texans. It's only $2,500 starter against Jacksonville. You only need 8 points in a PPR to make that happen. Okay.
What about Zach Ertz?
Zach Ertz. It hurts when I think about that, man. I'm not doing that. All right. It's not for me, bro.
Oh.
All right. Anything else, or you got any defenses you want to talk about?
Yeah, there's only two defenses I would play this week, probably based on everything. Is Denver's my first one.
Of course.
I think they're going to run right around those tackles and get lots of sacks and cause Danny Dimes to drop the ball. And 49ers. Other than that,
49ers.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. I tend to think the Dolphins should have a good game. They're facing a rookie quarterback, $2,900. Why not? Let's do it. But my pay down, the Falcons against the Eagles at only 2K minimum price, the cheapest defense at home against a running quarterback that is not an accurate passer. Like there's going to be sacks, there's going to be turnovers. There's a good opportunity there. Like, I mean, you're only looking for 6 points to go 3x. What else do you want? 2K Atlanta Falcons. That's actually a core play for me on DraftKings.
All right. If you're allowed.
Yep. All right, Andy. Yeah, I want to keep these DFS shows as short as we can. You know, obviously, anybody that's a hardcore DFS player, your time is limited, and you need to watch a shorter show because you need all that time to build your lineups. So, is there anything else you want to add before we get out of here?
No, I'm good. Just obviously, just stay focused between 12 and 1. Make sure there's no late scratches or anything, or no COVID cases.
Yeah,
that's the craziest time when you're trying to hustle and change your whole entire lives because some guy's out. So.
Right. All right, guys. We appreciate you tuning in today. We'll be available in the morning. If anybody wants anything, you could hit me up at jtrella20. He's at amac22nj. We appreciate you doing us a favor and smashing that like button. Please subscribe on our YouTube channel at Stack Attack Fantasy. And remember, on the bottom line there, if you see it or if you hear it, it's at hello, my name is Reed on Venmo. Please help us out with that. Even if you got $1 to spare, it helps this family out. Check out our last episode if you want to learn more about that. In the meantime, this has been the Fantasy Podcast Stack Attack. Let's get out of here, Andy. Anything else?
No, we're good.
Peace, man. All right, man. Check it out. Here we go tomorrow. Peace.